Hey, good day, everyone. This is Nigel. I welcome everyone to my page, and I thank everyone for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. Today's video is going to be on toxic relationships and their people. Because we deal with these things off and on throughout the course of our lives. But first and foremost, I'd like to mention I have some merchandise that I have for sale, some t-shirts, custom-made t-shirts. I have hats. I have jewelry. I have everything that you might be interested in. Just check it out at repercussionsapparel.com. I will have some of the information in the description link below, so feel free to browse my website. But yeah, we all have this thing to want to appease people in our lives. Sometimes we kind of neglect ourselves and put ourselves in what makes us happy and what we want, on the back burner. Specifically and mainly dealing with toxic people. How do you know when someone's toxic? How do you know when you're in a toxic situation, indoor relationship? How do you know? And sometimes it's not only the relationship that's toxic, or it's not even the whole person as the whole perpetrator, as we may look at it or at them. Rather, it's their behavior, dealing with the person that you have, this bond with, there's this love for. Sometimes we kind of get sidetracked and put them first to appease, their feelings. And it leave us feeling empty. You don't feel too happy or you don't feel appreciated. But often, the person is deeply wounded, for the most part, and for whatever reason, they're not yet able to take responsibility for their wounding. Their feelings needs to be met by others. They don't take much responsibility for themselves, how to face their own subsequent problems, that they may have in their lives. So sometimes they may over-identify and act out the parts of who they are, such as the victim or bullying or being a perfectionist, certain things to that nature. They act from these parts trying to get their needs met, albeit in an extremely unhealthy way. Sometimes it's hard for a lot of us to sit back and put ourselves, in a better position mentally, spiritually, physically. All these things that we yearn for in life will subsequently be overlooked because we're trying to fulfill toxic boundaries that, that are sitting there that has not yet been discussed or talked about. What I mean by that is a person can act out in a way to where they put everything that it's about them. It's always me, me, me. What am I going to do? How am I going to get by? Without doing this, and I don't want to do it myself. You have to be very careful of those type of people and not enable them, in no means whatsoever. So sometimes, you have to put your foot down and let it be known that, hey, there are boundaries and these boundaries are being crossed. How do you get to that point without feeling as if you're going to be mean, rude, or you're going to hurt that person's feelings? And this is how the manipulation comes into effect. So you have to be very careful on how you deal with these type of situations, how you deal with these topics, how you deal with these people. Because 9 times out of 10, it's always something in the midst of denial. Well, it's not this. Well, no, I'm not that. Well, no, this is not what I'm doing. This is only because, sometimes people will never ever take responsibility for the things that they should take responsibility for, especially for themselves in their lives. So keep that in mind, first and foremost. It's because, it's the pandemic is going around and taking its toll on lives, people, financial statuses, their mental statuses, their living statuses, conditions, arrangements, or what have you. But it's a detrimental, pandemic at this moment. And a lot of people are not in the, best of mental health, as I would say. A lot of people are committing suicide and they're hurting their families and they're acting out, they're lashing out. And a lot of things is not going accordingly to any of our plans that we may have, at this moment. But people are still trying to date in the midst of this pandemic. And then we have everything that's going on in Rochester with their protesting, with Daniel Pruitt. So it's a lot of things, man, that's going on in a person's life that may affect their life. They may not be willing to deal with it at that point in time. But you have to try not to be in an environment that's toxic. Be in an environment with negative energy, with negative people that have negative thoughts, negative actions, and say negative things and do negative things. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you have to look out for yourself and not look at it as you being selfish. But you have to make your next move your best move. And with that being said, in order to get away from toxicity, is that you always have to set boundaries, set and maintain boundaries, and focus on taking care of yourself. Never neglect yourself. Never go on regretting not knowing. That's one of the worst things to do in your life. You have to find ways to protect yourself from unhealthy behaviors. Look back and reflect on relationships and consider how you are caught up in an unhealthy cycle of, relating to the person, or you might be making excuses for someone trying to fix them. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. They say, two hurt people, can hit each other. You have to be careful. Be very careful of that. Because you have to take into consideration, what is a toxic person? A toxic person is someone who's filled with a lot of negativity, a lot of negative energy. They don't have no thrive. They don't have no ambition. They have everything to blame the world for, and none of it's their fault. They're always the victim. They would drain you. They would suck you dry, spiritually, financially. They would even take your life. So you have to look back at certain situations that you may have or may have had in your life in the past, or it could be your current situation. Hey, how does this benefit me by staying in this toxic situation? Without saying, it's because of the kids, or they don't have nowhere to go, or they might hurt themselves. You have to look at things that's going to make you happy, keep you happy. Find someone that's going to supplement and reciprocate your life, someone that's going to lift you up and not tear you down. Someone that's going to bring you up, not beat you down. So with all this being said, guys, I'm going to have some other things I'm going to be talking about, but just keep that in mind. This is just like a little warmer thing that I'm doing right now. As far as being around toxic people that's not healthy for you, people that's not right for you. You have to get out these things, because ultimately, you'll be the one sitting back with a lot of regret, because you created a lot of space for a lot of toxicity and negativity. You don't need those type of relationships in your life, or those type of people in your life. It's like a vibe. If it feels right, it's right. If it don't feel right, then it's wrong. You have to utilize a lot of your discernment, a lot of your judgment, and just do what's best for you. Sometimes you have to be selfish in life to get to where you got to go, but not always have a selfish mindset where it's always about you. And that's the problem in some people's minds. That's all that exists. They just think. With that being said, thank you for listening, and tune in again.